Imagine losing everything in a war against demons, thinking it's game over, and then waking up 10 years earlier like, wait, I get a do-over? That's exactly what happens to Chen, the guy who got eaten by life death and literal demon gluttony. But now he's leveling up before the apocalypse even starts. Grab your popcorn, because this isn't just time travel, it's revenge strategy, and demons getting roasted like it's happy hour. In the year 2167, the demon race had conquered the world, and humanity had finally fallen. Cities lay in ruins, the sky burned with ash, and hope had long disappeared. Amid this devastation, only one man stood against the invaders: Chen, an SS-ranked lightning assassin and humanity's last hope. His struggle had begun 7 years prior when several demon kings descended upon Earth, among them the powerful Lan Yue, whose arrival marked the beginning of mankind's downfall. Now, facing the Demon King, Lan Yu looked down at Chen with disdain, mocking humanity's weakness and calling him nothing more than pathetic garbage. With cruel amusement, the Demon King declared that Chen had only one remaining purpose: to become his food. Dark, pulsating energy gathered in Lan Yue's hand as he launched a massive attack, intending to absorb Chen along with his strength. As the energy blast struck him, memories of loss flooded Chen's mind. He recalled his beloved sister, injured and helpless, the faces of fallen comrades who had fought alongside him until the end, and finally his great master, who had trained him for years. Rage consumed him. All these people had been taken by the demons, and Chen swore that even if it cost his life, he would take Lan Yue down with him. Harnessing every ounce of his remaining power, he activated his ultimate ability, Terminus Arc, unleashing a massive explosion of blinding light. Lan Yue, shocked, was unable to move, staring in disbelief at the human before him. Chen poured all his remaining strength into a final, desperate attack. The light grew blinding, consuming everything around him. In his last moments, memories of his sister, his master, and his peaceful family flashed through his mind. Accepting his fate, Chen lamented that he wasn't strong enough to protect them, and wished he had been stronger, imagining how things might have been different. As the explosion continued, the Demon King cursed him in disbelief at being defeated by a human of what he called an inferior race. Even in death, Chen regretted not discovering the demon layers sooner. Had he stopped the first Demon King, much suffering could have been avoided, and perhaps he wouldn't have lost everyone he loved so early. Suddenly, the blinding light vanished, replaced by a light fixture on the ceiling. Chen opened his eyes, dazed and confused, his body unharmed. Looking around, he realized he was lying in a simple bed inside a school infirmary. Shocked, he wondered how he was alive and tried to understand where he was and how he had ended up there. He walked to the window and saw a normal school courtyard impossible, as the world should have been destroyed. Slowly, he accepted the truth. He had gone back 10 years into the past to his college days. A strange static-like sound echoed in his head, and a message appeared. The power of gluttony has been fully integrated. Confirming the date, May 16, 2057, he realized he had returned 10 years into the past, 3 years before the first Demon King, Wrath, would arrive. Wrath would open the gates to the demon realm, allowing the other Demon Kings to invade and causing the annihilation that had destroyed humanity. Chen knew that this time, things could be different. If he could defeat Wrath, the gates would never open, and the future could be changed. The interface confirming the integration of the power of gluttony floated silently before him, and curiosity led him to touch it. His fingers passed through energy and data, and the interface expanded, revealing a flood of information. A status screen displayed his name, Chen, and all his attributes at level 100. Confused, he reflected on his past life, when he had never seen anything like this, relying solely on his awakened power. In this world, only 1 in 10,000 people could awaken and obtain a unique class, and his college was the best in the country, designed to train such heroes. In his past life, Chen had been a failure, never awakened, constantly bullied and beaten down. The interface glowed again, displaying a detailed file on the Lightning Assassin class, listing abilities and traits. Chen freezes, the same class he had in his previous life. Familiar power stirred within him, sending chills down his spine. If he had inherited his former strength, he had awakened much earlier this time. Determined, he prepared to test this new power. Before he could act, the door opened, and a surprised boy rushed in. Malong, an E-rank flower enchanter. He anxiously asked if Chen was awake and feeling okay. Chen replied calmly that he was fine, realizing that no one else could see the interface. Ma Long stared in disbelief at Chen's fully healed body, still recovering from yesterday's brutal beating. This boy was Chen's college roommate. Seeing him alive filled Chen with happiness, as Ma Long had died in his past life. Ma Long reminded Chen that the ranking test was tomorrow, crucial for their graduation assessment, and pulled him out of the infirmary. Outside, they entered the massive college courtyard, filled with students preparing for the test. Some practiced combat techniques, others activated abilities, a few ran drills, and some casually played ball. The scene was strangely peaceful. Watching it, Chen quietly remarked on how long it had been since he'd seen so many living people. Ma Long, spooked by the comment, suggested they take a walk around the courtyard. As they walked, Chen reflected on having lost everything once before. He knew that if he did nothing, the same hopeless future would repeat. He resolved to act immediately and grow stronger as fast as possible. However, the major problem was that leveling up required hunting monsters in the demon layers, which were monopolized by major guilds, leaving outsiders like him with no access. Still, he wondered just how strong he was now. Among students, most were only E ranks, and only true geniuses reached D ranks, even with past life experience. He was curious what rank he might achieve in tomorrow's test. Looking at Ma Long, he knew he was already far stronger than his friend. Suddenly, a basketball flew through the air and smashed into Ma Long's face. Knocked off his feet, he crashed to the ground in pain. A mocking voice echoed as a gang of students appeared at the top of the stairs, a gang of bullies. Their leader smirked, commenting on how quickly Chen and Ma Long had recovered from their last beating. Ma Long turned pale, terrified, while Chen remained calm. Stepping forward to face the group, the bully glanced at Ma Long and mockingly noted their toughness. With arrogance, he asked why they hadn't brought drinks for his crew. Panicked, Ma Long apologized and offered to buy the drinks immediately. Chen stopped him, calmly stating that Ma Long had done nothing wrong and that it should be the bullies who apologized instead. Hearing this, Chen remembers what happened yesterday. In his memory, the same group of bullies is seen forcing his head, giving him a swirly. They beat him mercilessly, laughing the entire time. Ma Long desperately begged them to stop, but no one listened. Their leader smiled and said he was just trying to help. Since Chen hadn't awakened yet, he figured a little push might motivate him. The group burst into laughter, clearly enjoying his suffering. When Chen finally passed out, they lost interest and walked away. Ma Long had rushed to his side, shaking him and calling his name, terrified as his friend lay unconscious on the floor. Back then, Chen had wondered why those people would never leave them alone. Returning to the present, he realizes something important. Evil doesn't exist only in the demon layers. It exists in the human world too. The bully grows excited by Chen's defiant response. Grinning widely, he tells his friends that it looks like they're going to have some more fun today. He repeats his question, demanding to know why they didn't bring drinks for him and his buddies. Ma Long tries to apologize again, offering to go buy drinks immediately. Once more, Chen stops him. He tells his friend firmly that they have nothing to apologize for. The bully looks confused, clearly not understanding what Chen means. Ma Long is also startled by his friend's sudden confidence and quietly asks him what he's saying. At that moment, Chen, an E-rank flower warrior, steps forward. He slowly walks toward them with a smug expression. Chen locks eyes with him, showing not a single shred of fear. He stands firm, ready for whatever comes next. He knows the truth. Chen only acts so arrogant because his older brother is the council president. As the tension rises, other students begin to gather at a distance, forming a loose crowd around them. Whispers spread and mocking laughter fills the air as everyone starts making fun of the pair. The crowd continues mocking them, calling the two of them the most useless guys in the entire school. Chen steps closer to Chen, glaring at him as his fists begin to glow with energy. With an angry expression, he asks what Chen just said, making it clear that he didn't like the answer at all. Chen is completely unfazed. Chen calmly replies that they should stop bothering them and leave them alone. Annoyed, Chen sneers and says that Chen clearly needs another beatdown to learn his lesson. Without warning, he lunges forward and throws a punch straight at Chen's face, using all his strength. To everyone's shock, Chen dodges the punch effortlessly and immediately strikes Cen's arm. The students watching from the sidelines are stunned. They can't believe what they just saw happen right in front of them. Even Ma Long is in disbelief. Chen not only blocked the attack, but as far as anyone knew, he hadn't even awakened yet. Chen explodes with rage. He refuses to accept being challenged by a weakling. He's always bullied. But to Chen, this is the perfect opportunity. He decides to test his newly gained power right here. In that moment, the class change completes, and Chen officially becomes a level 1 electric assassin. Lightning begins to crackle around his body. Ma Long stammers in shock, asking when Chen awakened, but Chen ignores the question completely. His eyes remain locked on Gong Chen, his gaze cold and unshaken. Furious, Gong Chen activates his indestructible demon armor and charges forward, shouting that he'll make Shi Chen taste his killer punch once again. This time, however, Shi Chen doesn't back away. Covered in lightning, he steps forward to meet the attack head-on. In a swift motion, Shi Chen delivers a powerful punch straight into Gong Chen's face. The impact is overwhelming. Gong Chen is sent flying across the school courtyard, crashing down far away. Everyone's jaw drops. No one can believe that Shi Chen just sent Gong Chen flying with a single punch. Lying on the ground, the bully curses loudly and accuses Shi Chen of using a sneak attack. He then yells at his friends, asking if they're just going to stand there and watch. But Gong Chen's friend is frozen in fear. Unable to even form a sentence, Shi Chen stands there surrounded by lightning, his eyes glowing, looking absolutely terrifying. Still unwilling to give up, Gong Chen shouts that he's going to finish this. Gathering everything he has left, he charges in again with full force. This time, Shi Chen stops the attack with just one hand. He catches Gong Chen's fist effortlessly. Gong Chen's eyes widen in shock. He can't believe his punch was stopped so easily. Looking down at him coldly, Shi Chen tells him that they are simply too weak. Then, without hesitation, Shi Chen lands a full-power electric punch straight into Gong Chen's face. The impact is insane. Gong Chen is thrown backward before he even realizes what hit him. He flies several meters through the air before crashing violently into the ground, cracking the concrete beneath him. With just that single blow, the fight is over. The bully lies in a broken heap on the ground, completely defeated. Everyone watching is utterly stunned. One student stands there with his jaw hanging open, his glasses cracked, unable to comprehend what he just witnessed. They all wonder how Shi Chen became so unbelievably strong. Meanwhile, Shi Chen calmly looks at his status screen and reaches a few conclusions. First, he realizes that he can switch to the electric assassin class whenever he wants. Second, he understands something even more shocking. Even at level 1, he is already terrifyingly strong. Strong enough to handle the weaker awakened, but even so, Shi Chen still doesn't know his exact rank. As he thinks about it, he realizes there's another problem. Looking at his status screen, he notices that nothing changed even after defeating Gong Chen. An idea suddenly pops into his head. He wonders if gaining experience works the same way as in his past life. Shi Chen is moments away from testing his theory when a sharp, commanding voice cuts through the tension. As Ling Yu steps forward, blonde and authoritative, instantly halting the chaos by declaring that the punishment has already been delivered and that Gong Chen will not dare trouble anyone again. While Shi Chen calmly studies her, questioning why the student council would intervene to protect someone like Gong Chen, knowing full well that people of his kind never truly stop unless they are completely crushed. The cold intensity in Shi Chen's eyes locking onto Gong Chen's friends and freezing them in place as fear overwhelms them, sending them scrambling in panic while swearing never to provoke him again, after which Shi Chen and Mei Long walk away without another word. Leaving behind stunned whispers as students struggle to believe these are the same weaklings they once mocked. Ling Yu watching silently before signaling her group to leave as night falls, and the scene shifts to the men's dormitory, where Ma Long erupts with excitement, passionately convincing their roommates that Shi Chen has truly awakened, as he vividly describes Shi Chen completely dominating Gong Chen and his group, only for a core mage to scoff, questioning where Shi Chen even is and dismissing the idea that someone so strong would still need to run. With Xiang Zuo, a flower enchanter, siding with the skepticism and claiming Ma Long must be delusional since the four of them were once labeled the worst students, prompting Xiang Yu to explode in response as he argues that being ranked 4th worst still makes him the best in the room, boasting that he is the only combat class among them while the others are support. Xiang Zuo brushing this off as he dismisses Shi Chen as too weak to ever match a lightning assassin and warns that tomorrow's final ranking test will reveal who is truly strong, quietly setting the stage for what is to come. While elsewhere within an E-rank training lair, flames roar as a fiery portal violently tears through space and Gong Ting emerges, pristine yet faintly stained, the student council president and Gong Chen's older brother. His icy glare silencing his group as he declares the training session over and orders everyone to leave, briefly casting a look of disdain toward one subordinate before walking away, soon confronting his younger brother Gong Chen, now battered and wrapped in bandages, as Gong Chen complains that he cannot sleep without revenge, only for Gong Ting to remain calm and composed, promising that the matter will be resolved swiftly, later dining with Ling Yu as Gong Chen grips a steak, and Ling Yu probes how he plans to handle the beating he received. Gong Chen doubting his opponent's true strength until Ling Yu explains the harsh reality of the academy, that fewer than 10 students have reached the dank rank and all of them were personally recruited by Gong Ting, while everyone else is barred from entering demon layers, cutting off their growth entirely and leaving ordinary students powerless, unable to hunt or improve, as outside the campus rain pours relentlessly and Shi Chen runs through the night, weighed down by 100 kilograms as part of his daily 20-kilometer training. Knowing physical conditioning is essential for awakened fighters, yet still feeling it is far from enough, memories flooding his mind and dragging him back to the year 260 when the Demon King of Wrath descended upon the world. His sister taken, the gates to the demon realm ripped open across Earth, and total chaos unleashed, marking the beginning of humanity's collapse. His goal unwavering as he vows to stop Wrath, prevent the gates, and change the future entirely with only 3 years remaining, forcing him to grow stronger and faster than the Demon King himself. As the rain intensifies and his phone vibrates in his trembling hand, revealing Si-yeon, his younger sister, multiple missed calls flashing as she explains her phone died during a competition, and that winning will help solve their rent problems. Si-Chen recalling praying desperately for a second chance in a ruined future, as her voice pierces through him when she asks if he is okay, rain mixing with tears as he reassures her that it has just been a long time since he heard her voice, a meaning she cannot yet understand. The call ending as realization crashes down on him that everything has restarted and failure is no longer an option, driving him forward with renewed determination as he vows to grow stronger, protect those he loves. Later, standing under the dormitory shower as he adjusts to his younger body and senses the vast untapped potential within it, while recognizing the true challenge ahead, that leveling up requires access to demon layers tightly controlled by powerful guilds and reserved exclusively for the rich and influential, locking ordinary students out of real growth and hunting opportunities, with the mystery of his gluttony power still unresolved until the Gluttony System suddenly activates, a powerful pull dragging Si-Chen into a bizarre unknown space where he crashes onto a crimson floor beneath an endless red sky, a massive ominous tower looming in the distance as he realizes he has no idea where he is. Moments ago asleep and now standing at the threshold of something entirely unknown, he finds himself standing before a towering, ominous structure in a bizarre realm. Sounds erupt and skeletal monstrosities charge toward him, bizarre gravehound cloud warriors unlike anything he has seen before. Si-Chen instantly suspects a demon lair and snaps into battle mode, activating his lightning assassin class. Electricity surges violently across his body, boosting speed and attack power. The skeletal warriors rush him, but he dodges effortlessly, lightning streaking with each strike, skulls shattering and fangs scattering as loot. He tears through them, annihilating one after another with ruthless precision, collecting fangs and items, the thrill of combat pushing him forward. Si-Chen realizes defeating these E-rank monsters is absurdly easy, each kill granting 52 experience points. Experience accumulates rapidly, a notification flashes, and he levels up to level 2, watching his attributes spike by 5 points each. He processes that he can level up here, inside this place, recognizing this is no ordinary demon lair but a private training ground forged for him alone. The ground trembles and a colossal presence emerges. The Gravehound King. Si-Chen launches into battle, lightning wrapping his form and obliterates the boss. He levels up again to level 3, gathering 18 fangs and a crystal. Boss monsters explode with experience. Then a strange message flashes above the fallen boss, absorption available. Si-Chen freezes, confusion striking. He reaches out, a brilliant light erupts, dark energy surging into his fist, the monster's essence absorbed completely. When the light fades, the corpse is gone, replaced by a floating class card. Holding it, realization hits. He can absorb enemies and convert them into classes. The shock hits like a thunderbolt. Memories flash of himself consumed by a brilliant light, and the figure of the Demon King Lan Yu appears. The vision reveals the truth. The greedy Moon Demon Lord's power now resides in him. Classes are usually limited to 1, but he holds 2, shattering the rules, and if he can absorb monsters, the potential for countless classes is staggering. Questions hit hard. How he obtained this power and what the tower truly is remain mysteries. A crushing pressure descends. Air distorts. Everything weighs down on him. Si-Chen stiffens, struggling to breathe. A voice booms, greeting him, claiming it has awaited him. From shadows, a lord-like figure emerges, calling him by name, already aware of who he is. Awakened beings are ranked from E to S. Before Si-Chen can react, a surprise attack launches him through the air, slamming him into the ground. He clenches his teeth, recalling the peril it took to reach S-rank in his past life, now barely D-ranks, facing a being far beyond his current power. Steeling himself, he engages. The S-rank strikes relentlessly, each blow dodged by Si-Chen's instincts, realizing the Lord avoids his vital points, demonstrating dominance with calculated strikes. Finally, a devastating hit sends him flying, battered and bruised. The Lord questions if he will continue resisting, revealing it seeks subjugation, not death. It offers him a choice, stay and guard the tower as a subordinate. Si-Chen refuses, shouting defiance, but dark energy pierces his chest. He collapses, blood spilling, shocked by the brutal response. The Lord explains patience was only because Si-Chen is the only one to reach this far. Sinister force wraps his body, lifting him into the air as dark energy floods the space, and the Lord unleashes full power. For the final time, a choice: submit or be reduced to dust. Lightning crackles around him, eyes burning with resolve. He declares one choice and charges, determined to take the Lord down. The boss scoffs, laughable, and prepares to crush him. Their powers collide in a massive explosion. Chen breaks through dark energy, closing the distance for a final strike. He has already analyzed everything. Each attack has a 0.4 second wind up, after every strike a 0.2 second delay. That fraction is the key, the opening to pierce the heart. He knows he cannot win, but the shock will stun the Lord long enough to escape. He turns and runs, shouting there is only one source of light. He leaps toward what he believes is the exit, but the light vanishes. His heart sinks as the Lord's voice echoes, revealing the light was an illusion. It is not a demon lair. The creature, impressed, praises Chen for discovering a weakness so quickly, risking life on almost nothing. Finally, it reveals itself as the Abyssal Fiend, a powerful S-rank Star War, previously witnessed on the Demon King Lan Ye's body. Chen vividly remembered his final battle in his previous life. During that battle, Lan Yu effortlessly switched between multiple high-rank classes, taking the form of a giant iceberg, a fire warrior, and a massive grass monster. Among these countless forms, Chen immediately recognized one that matched the current appearance of the monster before him. Shock froze him in place as a terrifying realization struck. The Abyssal Fiend had likely been devoured by Lan Yu, who had used the power of gluttony, and now that power had merged with Chen's own body. The truth became undeniable: this entire place existed within him. The Abyssal Fiend acknowledged Chen's extraordinary mental strength and sharp wit, stating that he had proven himself worthy of everything contained within this place. Chen, still struggling to process this revelation, murmured in disbelief. Everything here? At that moment, a glowing object appeared before the Abyssal Fiend, the SSS-Rank Void Key, the only key capable of opening the gates of the demonic tower. The Abyssal Fiend explained that Lan Yu had devoured countless powerful demons over time, and the strongest among them had been sealed behind him. The tower held monsters beyond imagination, and he urged Chen to devour them all to grow stronger, turning each one into fuel for his power. After receiving the key, Chen hesitated and asked the Abyssal Fiend why he was helping him. Calmly, the Abyssal Fiend explained that even within the demon race, there existed a line between good and evil. The Demon Kings had slaughtered his entire clan to satisfy their greed, and he had spent an eternity waiting for revenge. Now the chance for that revenge was at hand, and Chen was the only hope capable of achieving it. When Chen asked who this man was, the Abyssal Fiend simply pointed toward the demonic tower, telling him that all answers lay hidden inside and that he must find them himself. Suddenly, the Abyssal Fiend's body glowed with brilliant sky-blue energy, offering his power to Chen to exact vengeance. Chen hesitated, unsure if he could accept such power, but the Abyssal Fiend roared, urging him to become unstoppable. He commanded Chen to open the gates of the demonic tower and devour everything inside, warning that the demons within were far more cunning and terrifying than himself. You must endure everything, conquer them all, stand at the peak of this world. Continue forward until you devour every single demon king, the Abyssal Fiend instructed. As his body faded, he declared that only a man with such determination was worthy of his power. A massive surge of energy exploded in Chen's hand, and a victory screen appeared, announcing his level had risen to 10 after devouring the Abyssal Fiend. He also acquired the Abyssal Fiend's underworld bones. Standing before the endless void, Chen clenched his fist and swore to carry the Abyssal Fiend's will forward. The devouring process completed, and the Abyssal Fiend of Purgatory card appeared, granting abilities like Bone Fist Ruin and Triple Gravity Strike. Chen silently vowed to make all his enemies pay in blood. Suddenly, Chen awoke to loud noises in his dorm room. His roommates were rushing to get ready, reminding each other to wear uniforms and not be late. Disoriented, he wondered if everything had been a dream, but upon checking his body and status system, the truth became clear. All his wounds had healed, his level had risen to 10, and all loot from the mysterious place had returned with him. Realizing he had jumped 10 levels in a single night, Chen began to consider what rank he might now be. Before he could dwell further, his roommate Xiangzuo called out, mentioning that Ma Long had boasted the previous night about Chen's newfound strength. Challenged, Xiangzuo asked if Chen intended to overthrow him as the strongest in the dorm and invited him to the rank test to prove his abilities. He explained that although their dorm was considered rank E, each rank had 3 layers and they were currently at the lowest. Xiangzuo added that he was mid-ranks and could easily face 10 low-rank students at once, hinting that Chen might have grown stronger since the last test. Ma Long approached Chen excitedly, encouraging him to perform his best and even aim for rank D to intimidate Xiangzuo. Chen simply reflected on his words with faint sarcasm, saying nothing. The students soon arrived at the test arena, filled with nervous excitement as everyone prepared to prove themselves. Xiangzuo noticed a group of students arrogantly pushing others around. It was Gong Chen's followers. He suggested avoiding them to prevent trouble, but panic struck when he realized the followers had noticed Chen. Unexpectedly, their expressions turned pale with fear. They bowed deeply with great respect, announcing loudly, "Big brother Chen has arrived." Xiangzuo was stunned, completely confused by the sudden respect shown to Chen, and began to doubt whether Ma Long's earlier claims might be true. Ma Long, meanwhile, smiled triumphantly. Chen ignored the B-Wing followers and walked forward calmly as if nothing had happened. Suddenly, a sharp voice echoed through the arena. Kang Di, a student council officer, stepped forward with a mocking smile. He referenced a minor incident involving Gong Chen the previous day and asked Chen if he knew who Gong Chen really was. Arrogantly, he explained that Gong Chen was the younger brother of their esteemed student council president, Gong Ting. The surrounding students recognized Hyang Di, whispering among themselves that he was the president's pampered dog. Anxiety spread as everyone knew Hyang Di was a powerful dank awakened, and they could not understand why he was targeting Chen. Stepping closer with a smirk, Kang Di boasted that he had a sharp sense of smell to detect truly powerful people from afar. Leaning almost face to face with Chen, he sneered. "But from you, I smell nothing at all, only the pathetic scent of someone destined to stay at the very bottom forever." Unfazed, Chen stares at him and bluntly asks if he's some kind of dog, instantly infuriating him. As Zhang Di begins to lash out, a cold, authoritative voice cuts through the hall, ordering him to stop. Everyone turns to see Gong Ting, the student council president, calmly explaining that he had investigated the incident and determined that Hyang Di's brother was in the wrong. Addressing Hyang Di with firm authority, Gong Ting declares that anyone who makes a mistake must pay the price, leaving Hyang Di humiliated and forced to retreat. After the confrontation, Gong Ting silently fixes his gaze on Chen, observing him with a penetrating, unreadable expression, as if trying to peer into his very being. Chen meets the gaze without flinching, the air between them thick with tension. Soon after, the rank assessment test officially begins. A teacher steps forward to explain that students will be called individually to perform the test. Gong Ting casually departs with Zhang Jian, noting that Chen does not seem like a major threat. From a high window, a mysterious blonde woman watches the proceedings, intrigued. When asked about her purpose, she simply states that the test promises to be interesting. The first assessment begins with Xiangzuo stepping forward, determined to display his full strength. Each student must enter a training demon layer containing a demonic heart, a device designed to absorb and analyze energy. Xiangzuo releases all his power in a single explosive blast toward the heart, which transmits the data to an external machine. The initial reading shows him at mid-ranks, but a second result reveals his C-Rank potential. While impressive, Xiangzuo is disappointed, realizing that after 2 years, his strength has not improved as he had hoped to reach Dank. He leaves the testing area disheartened, and his friends attempt to console him, though their own results are far weaker. Shengyu and Ma Long only reach low E rank. Suddenly, a new result flashes on the screen, and the three friends are stunned. The first D rank of the year appears, sending the hall into uproarious excitement. Shortly after, another student attains D ranks with an even higher A rank potential, leaving Xiang Zuwei and his friends feeling crushed. By now, 8 students have achieved D rank, a shocking number, as normally only 2 or 3 students reach this rank each year. As the assessments near completion, the final student, Gong Ting, is called. The crowd erupts at the mention of his name, excited to see the student council president and young master of the Imperial Guild. Many speculate about his progress since being danked 2 years prior. Inside the testing chamber, the demonic heart pulses as Gong Ting approaches calmly. He decides to hold back some of his power, intending to reveal even more later, yet remains confident that his current strength is enough to claim the top spot in school history. The machine processes his data, and the teacher is shocked at the energy readings, which are unlike any others seen. Moments later, the results appear, high D ranks with S rank potential. The hall erupts in chaos and disbelief. No one expected such an outcome, let alone the unprecedented S rank potential. Chang Di and his friends freeze, pale with shock, while the crowd celebrates Gong Ting as the first student in school history to achieve such results. Teachers confirm the outcome and prepare to report it to higher authorities. The significance is immense. An awakened student with S-rank potential is extremely rare, akin to a state-protected treasure. Gong Ting's status as the son of the Imperial Guild leader guarantees national recognition. Observing from a distance, a mysterious duo notes the unusually high number of talented students this year. Yuan Long, the university director, inquires if Ling Yu knows about Gong Ting's potential. She calmly shakes her head, revealing she came not to watch him, but is far more interested in another student's performance. The focus shifts back to Chen, who remains silent and composed, his expression serious and unreadable. Soon after, the teacher announced the final student to be tested, Chen. As his name was called, Zhang Di mocked him loudly, demanding that Chen at least bring some honor to their dorm, and sneering that if all four of them were weak, their dorm would become a joke in a university. He continued belittling them, claiming weaklings like them would shame the school. Ma Long, unable to tolerate it, shouted back, insisting that Chen would shock everyone. Xiang, Yu, and the others watched anxiously, unsure of what would unfold. Inside the testing layer, Chen took his position as the demonic heart pulsed quietly, ready to measure his energy. Standing there, Chen reflected that for an awakened to have a future, joining a high-ranking guild was essential, and the only way to catch their attention was through the graduation combat assessment. The squad that secured first place would have all members recruited by the Imperial Guild, meaning the test was far more than a ranking, it determined their careers. Outside the chamber, Chiang Da introduced Yan Lin, a newly recruited D rank to Gong Ting's team. He boasted that with 9 D ranks this year in Gongchang, their victory was almost guaranteed. The true purpose of the test was revealed, to gather the strongest individuals for the final graduation assessment. Meanwhile, a team of weaklings was also forming, causing Ma Long to worry. He noticed that Chen had been in the booth unusually long, with no movement, and the results screen remained blank. Students began mocking him, claiming his power was so weak the machine couldn't register it. Some left, uninterested, and Kang Di scoffed that anyone still waiting was trash. Gong Ting calmly told him to call his team so they could leave. Just as they turned, the screen suddenly lit up, freezing everyone. The results left the hall in stunned silence, as Chen's high rank shocked all. Dorm mates and surrounding students gaped in disbelief. Ma Long shouted in excitement that he had predicted this. Gong Ting and Xiang Di, however, were stunned. Chen had reached high D ranks under unexpected circumstances. Before anyone could recover, the system issued a warning: instability detected, retest required. Inside the booth, Chen realized his base stats at level 10 already equaled high D ranks. Deciding to test another power, he initiated a class change inside the booth and activated Infernal Death King, his weakest dev class. The screen flashed violently as his rank shifted before everyone's eyes, from D ranks to mid-crank. Chaos erupted as his friends screamed in astonishment. Chang Di furiously claimed this was impossible, insisting the machine was broken. The teachers panicked. They had never witnessed a rank change mid-assessment. A terrifying realization struck them. This test might have awakened something beyond their comprehension. Instability was detected again as the demonic heart trembled under Chen's overwhelming power. Seeing the system falter, Chen decided to push it further. He activated his other class, Abyssal Fiend. The demonic heart reacted with terror. Cracks spread across its surface, as if it would explode. Dark purple energy surged upward, covering the sky above the testing grounds. A suffocating pressure descended. Gong Ting and the others instinctively looked up, faces filled with disbelief. Chen's friends were shaken, muttering that history was being rewritten. They realized their dorm had produced a god-level monster. The potential screen glitched violently, numbers twisting before finally displaying a warped golden S, completely unnatural. The teacher shouted in shock, questioning if it even counted as S-rank potential. Gong Ting stood frozen, unable to comprehend the scene. A danger alert flashed across the screen, heightening tension. Seconds later, it turned red with the message, "System error." The machine shook uncontrollably. The screen flickered one final time, revealing, "SSS value exceeds system maximum load." A student screamed in panic. Then, boom. The testing machine exploded in a deafening roar, debris scattering across the hall. Teachers shouted, rushing to the booth to check on Chen. As one approached, jaw-dropping, he saw the demonic heart on the floor, destroyed, cracked, and lifeless, as if devoured from the inside. Another teacher muttered in disbelief, wondering if the machine had simply burned out. Inside the booth, Chen frowned slightly, realizing he may have destroyed the heart by pushing too far. Simultaneously, he discovered that his gluttony power could devour even a machine's core. Moments later, Chen walked out unharmed, calmly leaving the booth. Stepping out, he decided to test his newly unlocked ability. Quietly activating it, his vision shifted, revealing the true ranks of everyone around him. The discovery stunned him. This ability was incredibly convenient and would be invaluable for future plans. His gaze landed on Gong Ting and his eyes narrowed. He could immediately tell that the council president had been hiding his true strength. With the testing machine destroyed, Teachers had no choice but to suspend the assessment. They announced that Chen's recorded data would be treated as an error, and students not yet tested would return the next day. Ma Long and the others celebrated loudly, asserting that Chen was undoubtedly a genius regardless of what teachers said. Suddenly, Chang Di stormed forward, demanding to know how a student like Chen could reach Frank. He accused him of deliberately breaking the machine and claimed that the student council's plans were delayed because of him. Annoyed, Chen gathered lightning in his palm, his gaze cold, momentarily considering ending the nuisance. Before he could act, Gong Ting intervened, instructing Qian Di not to disrespect their new teammate. Qian Di froze, stunned, unable to comprehend the president's words. With a faint smile, Gong Ting turned to Chen, formally inviting him to join his squad for the graduation assessment, confidently asserting that together they would achieve the highest score in the school's history. Ma Long and his team were utterly stunned when they received a personal invitation from the student council president in unprecedented honor. One of Gong Ting's team members immediately objected, arguing that if Chen joined, someone else would have to be removed. The thug angrily questioned what right Chen had to join when others couldn't even get in with bribes. Despite his complaints, the president's decision left him with no choice. Swallowing his pride, Qiang Di forced a smile and welcomed the new member. But to everyone's shock, Chen refused the invitation outright. Jiang Di froze, unable to process such audacity, while even Gong Ting's expression turned serious. Furious, Qiang Di declared their team the strongest, but Chen coldly stated he didn't care, warning them never to bother him again before walking away with his friends. The crowd was stunned. No one had expected anyone to reject a direct invitation from the student council president. Rumors quickly spread that Chen might be aiming for first place himself, while others anticipated the drama that was about to unfold. From a distance, his dorm mates quietly laughed at the stunned bullies, admiring Chen's boldness. Gong Ting, observing calmly, reassured his subordinate that Chen seemed to have his own plans. As the test ended, students gradually dispersed through the university courtyard. Director Yuan Long sighed in regret, lamenting that he had hoped the two would form a team to set a new school record. The mysterious woman beside him smiled faintly, noting that the unexpected turn made things far more interesting, and remarked that for someone like Gong Ting, Chen's refusal was effectively a declaration of war. Nearby, a student council member whispered a warning, cautioning that the president was not someone to provoke. Chang Di, still furious, scoffed, dismissing Chen's action as arrogance caused by an error in the power test. Gong Ting remained silent, deep in thought, questioning whether the test had indeed been flawed and silently vowing that no one would ever take his first place. One of his subordinates offered to teach Chen a lesson, mocking him as an inexperienced newcomer, but Gong Ting's cold glare immediately forced the subordinate to back down. Annoyed, Gong Ting dismissed his team, walking away and stating that whatever happened next was none of his concern. The subordinate's understanding of this left him with a wicked smile, recognizing that the president would remain uninvolved. Minutes later, someone rushed to inform Chang Di that Chen had already left campus. He had reportedly gone home without even staying to eat. Enraged, Qian Di crushed a soda can in his hand, realizing that outside the university, no rules would protect Chen. Meanwhile, Chen calmly walked down the nearby street, completely focused on his own objectives, unaware of the thug's intentions. He recalled a past incident in which an elite guild had discovered a powerful demon named Wrath inside a lair, only for the creature to wipe out the entire team with a single strike before escaping to wreak havoc in the human world. Determined to locate Rat's lair, Chen had devised a foolproof plan, though he first needed a large sum of money. This necessity led him to the Mythal Monster Exchange, the largest materials trading center in the future. Chen, fully aware that weapons and equipment were vital for an awakened, saw this as the perfect opportunity. At the counter, he casually dumped a bundle of monster fangs. The appraiser was shocked, questioning how a student could obtain such items. Chen calmly explained they had dropped from a monster. Confused, the appraiser admitted he had never seen such an item, but a nearby female employee recognized it immediately as Sang Fang dropped by an E-rank monster. As she began explaining its uses, the appraiser interrupted rudely, dismissing E-rank items as worthless and claiming he only handled D ranks and above, lamenting that all good clients had disappeared and his promotion was still distant. Deciding the task wasn't worth his time, he handed it off to the woman, who later returned with a briefcase filled with 18,000 in cash, enough for Chen to cover his rent. With this first step complete, Chen revealed one more objective. Raising his hand, it glowed ominously and a giant demonic sword materialized in his grasp. Wrapped in a sinister purple aura, the weapon radiated immense pressure, causing the surrounding air to tremble. The female employee's jaw dropped in disbelief. instinctively recognizing the sword's power as at least B rank, possibly A rank. The appraiser returned, scoffing, claiming that A-rank weapons cost millions and that he had never seen one. At that moment, a blue-haired man stepped forward, calmly stating that the sword was neither B nor A rank. The appraiser, suddenly intimidated, began sucking up to the newcomer, insisting a poor student like Chen couldn't possibly possess anything valuable. The blue-haired man then revealed the sword was an S-rank piece of equipment forged in the abyssal land, striking like thunder. The female employee froze. The appraiser turned pale in disbelief, and the blue-haired man enthusiastically welcomed Chen as a special guest, personally inviting him to the VIP room and assuring that any request would be fulfilled. Chen allowed a faint smirk, knowing everything was unfolding exactly as planned. The man who had appeared at the right moment was Qingji, a key piece in Chen's strategy. The scene shifted to the VIP room, where the atmosphere was calm and refined. Qingji sat across from Chen as he explained the equipment he had brought to sell. When asked his price, Chen replied steadily that it was 1 million. Shock overtook Qingji, and she could not hide her astonishment. Even A-rank equipment could fetch millions, she thought, and S-rank weapons like his could sell for tens of millions, potentially causing a market frenzy. Chen remained unshaken and clarified that he only intended to use the S-rank weapon as collateral to secure a 1 million loan, which he promised to repay in a month. Qingji was momentarily stunned. The notion that a university student would use such a weapon as collateral seemed impossible. It became clear to her that Chen never intended to sell the sword. He planned to reclaim it later and use it himself. His foresight and calm calculation far exceeded his age, hinting that he might be a runaway rich young master or a hidden prodigy. Regardless, he was certainly no ordinary man. While Qingji was lost in thought, Chen remained composed, leisurely sipping his coffee. He reiterated that he would repay the principal within a month along with an additional 10% interest the following month. Qingji instructed Xiahou Li to step outside, leaving her alone with Chen. Slowly and deliberately, she pieced together the facts. She correctly identified that Chen attended National Awakener University, whose seniors were about to graduate, and deduced that the annual graduation examination, with a first-place prize of 1 million, coincided perfectly with the timing and amount of his loan. She surmised that Chen was confident he would win first place. The inference triggered a powerful, oppressive aura from Chen, his eyes glowing crimson and filling the room with palpable killing intent. Despite the overwhelming pressure, Qingji remained composed and confronted him calmly. She noted that a rational person would never risk offering such a weapon unless desperate. Confronted with her insight, Chen's actions were laid bare. Qingji decisively offered a loan of 1.5 million in cash on the spot, interest-free for a month, extending her hand as a gesture of goodwill and the beginning of a partnership. Chen was stunned and struggled to process her generosity. Qingji reassured him that all discussions would remain confidential and invited him to consider their exchange for any future trading needs. Chen reflected silently, impressed that she had inferred his situation accurately and, rather than exploiting him, provided even better terms. Realizing that allies like her were essential to confronting wrath, he agreed. They shook hands, and he sealed the contract, instantly receiving the funds in his account. Qingji, satisfied, inquired what Chen would use for the graduation exam, offering high and mid-ranks equipment, though no S-ranks was available. Chen declined and revealed another S-rank weapon of equal power, leaving Qingji and her assistant utterly dumbfounded. Without lingering, Chen calmly exited, leaving Qingji to remark on the remarkable talent of youth and promoting her assistant, Xiahou Li, to supervisor for her role in assisting such a high-profile client. Meanwhile, the other assistant was left resentful. Chen casually recalled that he still needed to purchase something as he stepped outside. A taxi stopped in front of an aging building marked Changchang County Long Distance Bus Terminal. Seeing the sign triggered fragments of memories from Chen's past life. His family had struggled financially, he had graduated but not awakened, and no guild would accept him. He recalled endless rejections, exhaustion, and scraping together rent. The number $1560, the remaining balance, was etched in his mind. His sister Yoon had sacrificed her own opportunity to attend the International Central Art Institute to stay near him, tearing up her acceptance letter to avoid adding financial burden. These memories weighed heavily, yet Chen recalled them with clarity. Returning to the present, he surveyed the bus terminal. It was late, and Yi should have arrived by now. A familiar voice called out in frustration, reminding him to wait to the exit rather than the entrance. It was his younger sister, Yun. Chen noticed how small and safe she looked, and a surge of joy overwhelmed him. She called for his help with her luggage, scolding him for standing idly. Chen responded instinctively, hugging her tightly and catching her off guard. In his previous life, he had been powerless to protect her, but this time he vowed to do everything for her. Trembling, he spoke, addressing her by her name, Yun, until she pushed him away, embarrassed and flustered, scolding him for his strange behavior and urging him to hurry home. Walking together, Chen casually discussed his studies, exam preparation, and recent hard work, projecting an air of normalcy. As he spoke, he silently resolved that Yun would no longer have to suffer on his account. Yun's mood brightened, reassured by his confidence and determination. Their steps light, they moved toward home. Meanwhile, a narrow alley revealed several rough-looking men lying in wait. One, Hyangdi, identified Chen's route and ordered his companions to hide, planning to ambush him and teach him a lesson for crossing them. Just then, one of Qingji's companions spoke up nervously, cautiously warning him about the presence of so many student council members and expressing concern that things might go too far. Qingji's expression hardened instantly, his cold glare slicing through the air as his voice dropped into something sharp and dangerous, like steel grinding against stone. He reflected that he had only intended to teach that bastard a small lesson, but the other man's attitude had truly infuriated him, especially the thought that a low-tier E-ranked piece of trash believed himself to be a C-rank now, and did not even understand who he was dealing with. Chen's words echoed relentlessly in Qingji's mind, the memory of being told he was too loud and should never bother him again snapping something deep inside him and igniting a storm of fury he could no longer control. His anger erupted as he turned toward his companions, declaring that when the time came they had better leave him a peace because he intended to destroy Chen completely and make sure he would not even be able to attend graduation in 2 weeks. Slowly and deliberately, Qingji pulled out a knife, his eyes glinting with cold confidence as he affirmed his status as one of the best Cloud-type assassins in the school and promised that Chen would soon regret everything. The tension hung thick in the air, every heartbeat echoing sharply before the scene shifted into a quieter, heavier atmosphere. Chen walked beside Chen with drinks in hand, the outside world feeling distant and muted as she studied him silently before speaking, casually noting that he had been acting strange these past few days and asking whether he was stressed about the graduation exam. Chen remained silent, his calm presence concealing an unspoken storm behind his eyes. Observing his lack of response, Chen tilted her head, curiosity and amusement flickering across her face as she remarked that someone as simple as him usually did not get caught up in emotions. Chen offered only a faint smile in response, saying nothing, while Chen continued to study him, her expression softening as her voice turned sincere, and she reminded him that no matter what happened, he needed to pull himself together, recalling how he was always the one who said life was a long journey and that opportunities would come sooner or later, urging him to believe in himself. Her words became a gentle thread of hope amid the storm raging inside his mind as they continued walking side by side and stepped into the same narrow alley as before. Chen began softly humming her favorite song, light and carefree, a quiet act of defiance against the weight pressing down on their world, while Chen listened in silence, letting the melody wash over him as a brief calm settled within the gathering storm. As he walked beside her, his thoughts drifted, acknowledging that Yun was sharp and had noticed something was off when they met, yet she did not know he had awakened, meaning that in her eyes nothing had changed, and they were still struggling financially, barely holding their lives together. After a brief pause, Chen calmly assured her that he was fine, prompting Chen to lower her gaze thoughtfully and murmur to herself that he was still denying it, wondering whether it was male pride and recalling how men built emotional walls as they grew older, inwardly snorting with smug amusement as she concluded that the book she read must have been right, and that her big brother was indeed getting old. They continued deeper into the alley, their footsteps echoing softly, unaware that a shadow moved quietly behind them with practiced patience. The scene shifted again as several figures gathered in darkness, eyes locked on Chen, one of the men murmuring to Qingji that Chen had a girl with him, causing Qingji's lips to curl into a twisted grin as he remarked that this made the situation perfect, noting that the alley had no cameras. Excitement bubbled over as he announced to the group that today was their lucky day. Meanwhile, Chen remained calm beside his sister, fully sensing the hostile gazes, unmistakable killing intent, and suffocating energy creeping closer, his expression unchanged even as cold fury surged within him at the audacity of those student council bastards daring to come here. Without slowing his pace, Chen reached into his pocket, removed his earbuds, and gently placed them over Chen's ears, ensuring that whatever was about to happen she would not hear a single sound. Speaking softly and almost tenderly, he told her that he had recently been obsessed with this song and kept replaying it, inviting her to listen. Chen blinked in surprise, internally wondering since when her big brother had started listening to music, her thoughts drifting to the idea that music reflected a person's mental state and that perhaps she could understand him better this way. Chen did not answer, his silence deliberate, as he slowly turned toward the figures trailing them, causing the atmosphere to shift instantly. His presence expanded outward, an invisible crushing weight pressing against the air as his eyes deepened into something cold, inhuman, and unrelenting while sweeping over Qingji's group. He activated his eye-based ability, stripping their levels, conditions, and mental states bare, while Chen remained blissfully unaware, absorbed in the music flooding her senses, comforting and powerful as though it could calm the entire world. In the alley, Qingji's team began moving with confidence unshaken, and moments later, Qingji himself advanced with arrogant swagger, only for Chen to step forward as well. His demeanor calm and gentle, even as every word he spoke carried unspoken history and unyielding resolve. He reflected on his last life in 2160, when he lost his final family member, and how it was not until 2167 that he was reborn and given a chance to return, only then able to see his little sister again. As he spoke, thunder gathered violently around his body, crackling through the alley and filling it with oppressive, overwhelming energy. Each bolt of lightning serving as a silent declaration of fury as his mind roared unrestrained at the thought that this was the first time in 7 years he had been reunited with his family, and that these people dared to come here and ruin this moment. Qingji's team charged from every direction, but before a single foot could land, thunder erupted beneath Chen's feet, and in a blinding flash he vanished, reappearing beside them at impossible speed as his leg lashed out with terrifying force, sending one man flying backward into the others with bone-rattling impact. Shock spread across their faces as their minds failed to process what had happened while Chen continued humming, oblivious to the chaos behind her. Chen clenched his fist as thunder coiled tightly around it and surged forward like a storm unleashed, striking the nearest man and filling his eyes with panic as he attempted to block, only for terror to betray him. One fell, then the second, then the third, each dropping ruthlessly as Chen advanced without slowing, thunder roaring like a living entity around him as he closed in on the remaining few. One desperate man lunged and swung the fist, only for Chen to catch it instantly with an iron grip, following with a sharp knee strike that shattered bone and drew a scream echoing through the alley, which was cut short as Chen's fist smashed into his face, lifting him off the ground and slamming him down hard. From a distance, Qingji watched in horror, his face pale and drenched in cold sweat as panic seeped in, unable to comprehend what was wrong with this monster of a man. His confidence crumbled as Chen advanced toward him, thunder wrapping around his body like armor, eyes glowing with deadly intent as each step radiated raw, inhuman power. Only a handful remained as Chen moved on the first, his oppressive energy making legs tremble uncontrollably, the second falling immediately under the combined weight of fear and force. After knocking both unconscious, Chen reached Qingji, who froze completely as disbelief and terror consumed him, experiencing true paralyzing fear for the first time. Forcing himself to stand, Qingji shouted in desperation, clinging to pride as he proclaimed himself the strongest cloud-type assassin, and attempted to convince himself he could still win, unleashing his ability at full power as cloud energy surged. Chen did not flinch. A single devastating punch knocked the knife clean from Qingji's hand and sent him flying into the alley wall, followed instantly by another merciless mid-air blow that caused blood to explode from his mouth, teeth shattering as his body crashed down with a sickening thud. Barely conscious and with vision swimming, Qingji saw Chen standing over him not as a human, but as a demon, Chen's voice cutting cold and merciless as he reminded him that he had been clearly told never to bother him again, and questioned which part of that warning Qingji had failed to understand. Yang Di thought to himself that his ribs were all broken and both of his legs were numb. His rank assessment was real. Chen really was not a D rank. His condition was extremely bad. Blood flowed from his mouth, and he began crying and apologizing in a broken voice. Chen grabbed him by the collar and pulled him closer, pressing a knife to his face and warning him to shut up or he would be killed. Yang Di realized in terror that Chen's killing intent was real and overwhelming, and wondered what he had endured to be so deadly despite being a student. Chen continued coldly, telling him to remember every word. He violently slammed Yang Di into the snake-patterned wall, cracking it behind him. Chen glared down at him and threatened that all of them could rot for all he cared, but if they ever harmed his sister or appeared in front of her, he would make them disappear without hesitation. Yang Di bit his mouth until blood seeped out. His condition was already terrible and he was completely terrified. Chen made it clear he would make each of them disappear permanently without a second thought. Yang Di could only scream in agony. After leaving him in that state, Chen turned and walked away. Once his eyes were off him, Yang Di's body collapsed, powerless and broken. Meanwhile, Young listened to a song on her phone, feeling lonely and emotional, thinking that he acted like he had gone through so much despite her always being by his side. Her emotions overflowed and she began to cry, softly telling him that he was taking the joke a little too far. Before she could continue, Chen came up behind her holding a small box, a gift for her. Yun was stunned. Chen told her he got it for her, and she saw it was a magic holographic pen, the latest style from Drag, costing over 10,000, and wondered how he obtained the money. Seeing her happy made Chen feel satisfied. He reflected on failing to protect her in his last life, and resolved to protect everything about her in this life. Yun considered returning it because it was expensive, but she marveled as the pen created a floating fish hologram in the air. Chen, eating egg noodles, said it was fine as long as she liked it and praised her fried egg noodles. Yun worried about rent and the expense, but Chen revealed he had already paid the year's rent through a small business venture. Yun thought he was suspicious and lying, but noted his genuinely happy smile and did not press further. She gently told him not to push himself too hard, and he smiled in response. Elsewhere, Gong Ting, president of the school council, reported that Chang Di had severe injuries, with over 60% of his body fractured and unlikely to heal even with top doctors in a month. It was shocking that he picked a fight with Chen and was defeated. Vice President Ling Yu noted he would likely miss the graduation exam. Gong Ting showed no sympathy, stating his team would be better off without dead weight. Gong Shuang, director of career services, confirmed Chen was ranked C, the only student in the entire school with a higher rank than Gong Ting, and reminded him that the vice chairman of the alliance would personally inspect the graduation examination, warning him not to let anyone steal the limelight. Gong Shuang suggested Ni could fill any vacancy. Gong Ting confidently dismissed concerns, claiming he had not used his full abilities during the ranking assessment, and that everyone would know who the strongest was on the day of the combat examination. The meaning behind his words was clear. He was far from normal, and his true abilities would be revealed only during the examination. The scene shifted to National Awakener University's men's dormitory. Chen was taking a shower as warm water flowed over him. He thought about his training, having completed a 100-kilometer weighted run, and planned to start his real plan after graduation, aiming to secure the 1 million yuan prize money at the graduation examination and repay his loan from Qingzhou. He intended to honor the agreement for future needs. Less than a month remained until the examination, and he aimed to level up several more times. Closing his eyes, the Gluttony System screen appeared, initiating his return to the same realm as in the 4th chapter. This time, he understood the world better. With steady steps, he watched toward the throne, recalling his last assessment. His weakest class, Gravehound King, was C ranks. His strongest class, Abyssal Fiend, was unranked but understood to be S rank, with its full potential still unknown. The remaining 2 classes' exact ranks were unknown. The mysterious key appeared again. Chen narrowed his eyes, ready to test it. Suddenly, a massive portal-like door opened, releasing violent energy waves that filled the space with overwhelming pressure. Chen did not hesitate and stepped forward, muttering about what awaited him inside the Tower of Darkness. At last, he crossed the threshold and entered the Tower of Darkness, becoming shocked at the scene before him.